Hurricane Milton, as I covered last night, is one of the very, very unique hurricanes in terms of its direction and in terms of how quickly it reached Category 5 over the course of 24 hours. It is shocking meteorologists, causing them to basically cry on television, on live TV. Like it's going to make impact sometime around I guess like 2-3 p.m. tomorrow, my time, or no, Florida time potentially. I'm not entirely sure. It's going to make impact though, and I assume that the tropical storm surrounding it is already bracing, is already slated to make landfall. The evacuation zones or the avoid zones is basically the path is going in from Tampa, coming out of Orlando. Normally, you don't have hurricanes that take this trajectory, this path. It's unique for a hurricane to actually take this path coming from like an eastbound hurricane that is coming from the southwest. It's usually coming from the opposite side. Apparently, since 1851, only 14 hurricanes have taken this path. What now, liberals, is what I say. Obviously, because these unimaginable, once in a lifetime, world changing, catastrophic natural disasters seemingly happen with incredible frequency, you either got to look at it and think to yourself, I wonder what the deal is here. Is it perhaps anthropogenic climate change, warming the waters, making hurricanes more powerful, making it also making hurricanes more powerful in a shorter period of time, making it much harder to predict the trajectory and the impact, making it much more difficult to actually evacuate, especially when these biblical style fucking hurricanes are making landfall with incredible frequency. I wonder if it's anthropogenic climate change, something that scientists have had a consensus on for quite a while, or some other thing that they're hiding from us, like Jewish, Chinese, Mexican, undocumented space laser weather machines that are causing this to happen. Let's get to the mainstream coverage of this matter, and then we'll around a little bit more.
Good morning, Michael. We are less than 48 hours from a second major landfalling hurricane on the Gulf Coast of Florida. I'm in downtown Tampa. This is the convention center. You can see that water. It looks 10 to 12 feet down that seawall. Well, in lesser storms, we have seen all of this flood. So that's why all the people that live here are preparing for the approach of what made it to one of the strongest hurricanes on record in the Atlantic Basin.
This morning, the race to get out before explosively powerful Hurricane Milton comes in. Milton, still more than 5.
See, look, you're wondering, okay? People leaving Tampa, bucket bunnies and the linemen going into Tampa alongside the storm chasers. A lot of people do not understand what's going on here. They're like, what? Why are people driving into Tampa? There's a lot of work to be had in Tampa.
Comes in. Milton, still more than 500 miles southwest of Tampa, now a Category 4 hurricane with winds of 155 miles per hour.
This is the storm of the century.
Mass evacuations ordered, prompting bumper-to-bumper traffic on highways out of town.
I saw that video of the, I think it was like the sheriff's department or whatever, like with their car, driving through these like quiet suburbs that have been emptied out, basically being like, leave this area. This is an evacuation zone. Shit is dystopian, dog. Oh, Jesus Christ. Time lapse flying by Hurricane Milton about 2 hours ago. Holy moly. Look at that. God damn, dude. They're doing phone alerts every 10 minutes. Prime time for some high crime. Oh my God. Don't even start.
All right. So.
Oh, yeah, this is the aqua fence, which probably is not going to be enough to protect the Tampa General Hospital, by the way. I'm just letting you know. The aqua fence is actually really cool. It's really cool technology. It uses the weight of the water to basically keep it stable, I think. Some science shit. I've seen this before. The problem is they're talking about storm surge over 15 feet, and I don't know if this is 15 feet. I don't think this is 15 feet, so it's about 3 feet too short for the predicted surge. Yeah, we'll get to all of that. God damn it, I can't even finish this news coverage on it. Holy shit.
As the strongest hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico in nearly 2 decades takes aim at the Sunshine State.
Thousands, hundreds of thousands of cars.
Rianne Ramirez and her family of 4 driving 8 hours to leave Florida, double the time it would normally take.
It is bumper to bumper to the point where we were standstill, not moving for an hour at a time.
Hurricane hunters flying into the storm to collect critical data. Milton is expected to be knocked down by some wind shear before making landfall late Wednesday into early Thursday, but the storm surge could still be unprecedented.
I think there's something wild about people being like, oh man, I'm really afraid of the looting. That's why I can't leave my house. It's like, listen, Deborah, ain't nobody trying to break into your trailer park. It's gone. This is one of those moments where it's like, dude, be real, be for real. I understand how hard it is. I understand how hard it is to specifically leave everything behind, especially if you got pets. But if looting is your primary concern here, you're out of your goddamn mind, okay? What looting? That shit is all underwater at that point.
Tampa Bay to Sarasota to Venice could see 10 to 15 feet of ocean water pushing onto land, prompting one of the largest evacuations in years.
I'm going to go door to door myself and make the plea over the next 24 hours to get as many people as possible to leave.
There are definitely looters, but nowhere near enough to affect everyone to worry about it. Dude, what are you talking about? Looters? Guys, please understand something. 15 feet storm surge. What looters, bro? If someone steals your shit before it's underwater, then, at least someone's making good use of it. Like, what are you talking about? You know what's going to loot everything? The water. The water is going to loot everything. Here's what it will also loot: your life. If you stay home and you're in the area of impact, you're worrying about the wrong looting at that point.
But those staying put are prepping for the worst, frantically filling sandbags, boarding up homes, stocking up.
Like, this is such like American fantasy, right? If you think you're going to go in and loot, you got another thing coming. It's like, what are you going to do? Shoot people? What is happening? I don't think people understand the primary consideration at this moment should be placed on survival.
This is not going to be an opportunity for folks to take advantage of people. If you think you're going to go in and loot, you got another.
Dude, Americans are so crazy, man. Americans are so nutty. God, this country is so broken, dude. We are such a broken country that, like, even in the midst of this, like, Ron DeSantis is like, oh yeah, I'm going to use my federal resources on killing people. Like, what are you saying? Like, this is not even remotely a priority, okay? It's crazy. It's crazy. Everything's got to be culture war shit. Everything's got to be political, dude. Everything.
But I think
Another thing coming. You go into somebody's house after the storm passes, think that you're going to be able to commit crimes. You're going to get in really serious trouble. And quite frankly, you don't know what's behind that door in a Second Amendment state. So do not try to take advantage of people who are suffering because of the results of this storm. That goes for Helene continually, but then of course that will be the case for Milton. I know we've already brought a lot of people, held people accountable in post-Helene, and we will be very swift across all of.
If you try to steal my cryptocurrency, you got another thing coming for you.
Levels of government to throw the book at people, and of course, when you make these bad decisions, you're opening yourself up to response from property owners who may be inside that house.
Yeah, meanwhile, this is what's going on in Apollo Beach, Florida, baby. Look at this.
Storm surge and intense wind moving into the area as the storm impacts our community. The time to leave is now. This is the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. Mandatory evacuations have been ordered for your area.
Please read out loud. As a firefighter paramedic who has lived through many hurricanes in the Houston area, another area that literally is technically uninhabitable, but they decided to just pour concrete over land that is supposed to soak up the water, and then decided this will be fine. And now it gets flooded regularly for no reason, not dissimilar to Florida, mind you. 9/11 will not come into if winds and flooding are high enough. There should be no one left in the area because not even the fire department will respond. We've left buildings burning during Hurricane Harvey because we just couldn't make it out. Please, if you're living in the pathway, leave. Just leave. Imagine leaving those homes behind, HasanAbi, way someone go and live in Florida. What? It's just crazy to be like, I am already thinking about the looting, thinking about the theft that might occur when half of these houses are probably going to be underwater is insane.
Please leave now. We anticipate significant.
Well, it's getting real.
Yeah. You got the mayor of Tampa being like, if you stay behind, you will die. I am going to make this very clear. Okay? If you stay behind, you will die. That's what she said on CNN. Meanwhile, these motherfuckers are like, y'all, if you start looting, like looting what, bro? The hurricane's going to take care of the looters, even if you want to think about that. Like,
Many shelves already empty.
I have a 1-year-old as of tomorrow, and my wife's expecting our second child, so we just want to take necessary precautions.
5,000 National Guard troops activated. Tropicana Field, where the Tampa Bay Rays play, turned into a staging area for relief workers. Helene left behind so much destruction less than 2 weeks ago.
It's just a little scary to protect your house because it's not just your house, it's all the houses have debris piled up as high as you can see.
Helene brought the Tampa area and its beaches record storm surge as high as 7 feet. This was Tampa General Hospital during Helene. It was protected by an aqua fence. The water nearly to the top of the fence in that 5 to 7 feet of surge. But that was
5 to 7 feet. This is going to be double that.
Half the storm surge that's expected from Milton.
Watching the storm meteorologically yesterday was just jaw-dropping. It put on 95 miles per hour in less than 24 hours. Only 2 other storms in history have done that. So
I want to say it's crazy because, like, yeah, everyone's a big government commie when a massive hurricane like this happens. And, you know, it's not a time to gloat. Like, I don't give a shit. It's not about politics. We got to save these people. We got to make sure that they get out, right? Having said that, however, Florida is unironically proving the point that it's like, nah, actually, they're still going on the same trajectory. It's crazy. They're like, nah, even during a catastrophic hurricane that is about to make landfall, we've decided we are going to abide by our principles.
So watching it just past the Yucatan now, we're still, again, hundreds of miles away from this thing, but it will close in and it's going to go quickly, especially if you are on the west coast of Florida. Let's talk about that cone. So right now, the center of it goes just south of the bay.
Dude, look at this. It's just straight ripping through Florida. Look at this. Like, that's crazy. I run a retro game store in Tampa and someone was like, what if they loot it? And I was like, let them take the soaked PS2s. I just don't think people understand what this shit looks like. Like, I don't think they understand the priority here. The priority is survival.
Bradenton almost. But remember, it can travel still because of the cone of uncertainty is what it's called. Anywhere really from Crystal River down to Fort Myers. So we're closing in on exactly where it will make that path. And that's going to matter. But I can tell you the hurricane force gusts from Cedar Key to Orlando, where we could see power outages with 100+ mile-per-hour winds. Lakeland, watch out for those winds. And the storm surge, again, Robin, from Fort Myers at 6 to 10 feet to here, 10 to 15 feet. That's stacking 3 of me and pushing that water onshore.
Tampa chatter here. If the storm goes through south of Tampa, the storm surge would be minimal. If the storm goes north of Tampa, then 20-foot storm surge. We're talking about 10-mile shifts that will determine insane catastrophic destruction. Yes, I heard the number was potentially 2,000 casualties with like $5 billion of damage in the worst case scenario.
It will move homes. It will move cars. It is going to be catastrophic. Those words I can be very confident with. Robin?
You cannot overstate that, Ginger. Thank you.
Here is what the 15-foot storm surge looks like.
Let's talk more about that surge that Jim was mentioning, because the National Hurricane Center is warning that destructive storm surge will occur along parts of Florida's west coast tomorrow, and that's where we find our surge warnings. They stretch from the Everglades to Cedar Key, but also notice the potential for surge on the east coast of Florida, including Georgia and South Carolina too. You will see surge outside the cone, but the highest is expected in Tampa and Sarasota. But look at that, Naples, we could get 4 to 7 feet there. Let's focus in on the Tampa Bay area, where we could see a record-setting surge over 9 feet. And I can use this simulation to show you what it will actually look like in Tampa.
Don't do the weather machine.
At 3 feet above normally dry ground, water is already life-threatening. It's too late to evacuate. Water this high can knock you off your feet, make cars float, and driving impossible. The first floor of homes and businesses are flooded. Unfortunately, the water is expected to rise even higher at 6 feet above the height of most people. Vehicles get carried away, structures start to fail. Just look at this. anything could be in this water, sharp glass, debris, chemicals as well. The scary part is some areas could see surge values at 10 to 15 feet. And this takes us up to 9. And look what it does. At this level, the first floors of structures are completely flooded, and there are few places that it is safe when the water rises this high.
Please understand, if you're in the impact zone predicted to have up to 15 feet of storm surge, you're done. It's over. No one will save you. You will die. I do not know if it will actually have 15 feet of storm surge, but obviously I'm going to trust the knowledgeable people on this matter because I can barely say meteorologist to begin with. I'm having a hard time saying the word. So I'm going to probably, I'm going to listen to them when they give these warnings. Kind of a similar situation to COVID, which is why it's blowing my mind that Republicans are now doing the same thing that they did with COVID, but now with something that is like directly visible. They've taken their anti-science perspective and now are applying it to this situation, and it's very frustrating. I don't know. It is very, very bad. This is very bad. We are getting dumber and dumber. Obviously, it makes sense that Trump is leading Kamala Harris by 30 points with non-college educated men in particular. 30 points. Just remember, 30 points. Pretty crazy stuff, but that's where we're at. What now, liberal? You're silly libtard. This is above 9 feet, but this CGI, this not real.
We want everyone to know their evacuation zone, listen to local officials, and evacuate when ordered to do so. And Jordan, you made a great point last time.
At least my jet ski survived.
This is not just a calm water. You're going to have waves, even whitecaps on the surge inland.
It's going to be nasty. You could, trying to think that you could walk in it. Please do not think that, all right? This thing will carry you away, especially when we've got the forecast that could go up to 15
feet. Hurricane hunters face turbulence flying through Hurricane Milton.
Up close look at Hurricane Milton. This is powerful video coming from hurricane hunters who flew in to the storm. It is impressive footage, and it gives you a glimpse at what is headed for this community. Let's watch.
Yeah, they're cloud seeding, according to that one guy that we watched last night. That's right. Why is the NOAA plane flying into the hurricane, the eye of the storm, brother? Get woke. That's right. They're doing it. They're doing the damn thing. They're making it way worse on purpose. They're cloud seeding. They're doing weather control. I've never seen a dang thing like it in my life. They're vaccinating the hurricane. They're doing woke gender. They're dropping dry ice in the hurricane.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Let me grab my phone real quick. Yeah. Well.
Hell no, dude. That is, whoo, boy, that is up.
Damn.
These got to be the coolest nerds on the planet, like straight up, bar none, by the way. Like their job literally is to fly into hurricanes. Like they are the coolest fucking nerds on the planet. Psychotic work, but someone's got to do it.
Hit the sun. Holy crap. All right.
Why don't they have a bunch of planes fly into the storm at an angle to redirect it? We made like thousands of planes to fight Jerpen during World War II. Wouldn't there be enough propeller to move it? That's awesome. Oh, I mean, how do I respond to that? Do you understand the wind speeds we're talking about, dude? This is like around the same vein as like nuking the hurricane. Yeah, according to NOAA and other scientific sources, a hurricane can release an amount of energy equivalent to roughly 10,000 nuclear bombs over its lifetime, meaning a single hurricane packs the power of 1,000 nuclear explosions. Yeah, a nuke doesn't have enough energy to redirect a hurricane. I'm just saying that, like, if a nuke doesn't have enough energy to redirect a hurricane, obviously a big fan is not going to be able to, like, if we had a fan as powerful as a hurricane, this would be one of the most devastating weapons that we've ever created. It would have to create 10,000 nukes worth or 1,000 nukes minimum worth of energy. Then you would just use that instead of nukes. Like this would be... I think it's literally impossible to do such a thing.
Yeah, damn is right, followed by nervous laughter. Very powerful video there. Imagine the force of those winds and all that rain hitting a community.
This is one of my favorite CNN guys. I can't believe they sent his ass out to the fucking hurricane. He's doing hurricane duty. It's kind of messed up. Please be safe, sir. His coverage on Israel-Palestine is the reason why he doesn't get the Tel Aviv gig, and he has to sit in Treasure Island, Florida now and talk about 15 feet of water that might be coming down on him. It's messed up, dude. Someone brought up different ways to try and stop a hurricane.
Stop hurricanes, and the answer is not with nukes. A lot of people seem to think that if we nuke a hurricane, it'll make it go away, but these storms are way more powerful than just one nuke, so it actually would survive more likely than not, and then you've just irradiated the thing, so you have a hurricane and nuclear fallout to deal with. There's also the idea to drag icebergs down from the Arctic to try to cool down the water, but as Leonardo DiCaprio taught us, cold water sinks. These use water on the surface, so it wouldn't really react to anything. There's also the plan to possibly fly jets in the opposite direction as the hurricane spins to try to dissipate it and counteract it.
I can't believe that's wow. People have thought that. Wow.
That would be like using 40 fruit flies as defense against Shaquille O'Neal's dunk. It would do absolutely nothing. There's also the theory that if you had fans on shore, you could just blow the hurricane away. But these can be the size of the state of Texas at times, so that just wouldn't work. We have to coexist with them, building better infrastructure and heating evacuations when they're issued.
Nah, shut up, libtard. I don't believe you. Nuke the goddamn hurricane. I'm gonna shoot it. Oh my God. Yeah, if we had offshore wind turbines, we could just blow the hurricane away, but DeSantis banned it, dude. Exactly. I love that, like, while this is happening, and it's directly happening as a consequence of anthropogenic climate change, making the water temperatures rise, which ends up making the hurricanes more powerful. Ron DeSantis, in the midst of all of this, has banned the mention of climate change from textbooks in the state of Florida, and also recently banned offshore wind turbines. That's what they're doing. It is so insane, dude. He's like, Florida is gonna be a coal-powered state. Drill, baby, drill.
We will drill, baby, drill.
So they are building a wall between the Bay and Tampa General Hospital. It's actually called the Aqua Fence, and it is a fence. It's watertight. It's worked in other countries. Will it work in Tampa, though? As Paul's always said, flooding is often a bigger danger than wind, especially in our area. And as we know, Tampa General Hospital is right on the bay, right there on Davis Island.
Oh, yeah, and Fox.
It's literally on an island. Why? Why did they do that? It makes no dang sense.
13's Lloyd Sauer shows us the new way they're protecting that century-old hospital and the hundreds of patients who will ride out the storm.
They work fast
Right there.
to build a wall against the storm.
It takes 3 full days for our team to set it up, about 60 guys.
It's called the Aqua Fence, 1,000 feet long, 9 feet high, designed to protect Tampa General Hospital from a 15-foot storm surge.
We're a 100-year-old hospital, and we're right here on the bay.
Florida is man-made, kind of like the Netherlands. Excuse me, it is absolutely not like the Netherlands, because the Netherlands at least recognizes that building an entire city that's technically underwater is going to be a massive problem in the future. So at least they have like preventative techniques, different ways of, floating the entire goddamn country. Actually, all of these engineers from the Netherlands are going to be some of the most valuable people on the planet in the next couple of decades, given all of the construction work that they're doing. It's like having Japanese engineers come to the state of California to harden our infrastructure. The thing is, the Netherlands also doesn't have these massive tropical hurricanes that are happening all the time. Yearly.
We can't evacuate. There's not enough hospital beds in the region to take our patients.
At a cost of $1 million. They say each time they put it up, they improve it.
Yeah, the walls
but
are
the real
sick.
force that holds it.
The Aquafence is such an incredible invention because it's so goddamn simple and it's awesome. It's great. Like I've watched like smaller Aquafence versions of this on TikTok before, and it's great. It's like it literally holds up by the weight of the water itself. It's fantastic. The problem is what happens when the storm surge is over the height of the fence.
It up is when floodwater piles onto the horizontal base.
So the weight of the water actually supports the wall.
Yeah.
And we bolted into the ground to keep the wind from blowing it over before the water gets here.
We're told the Aquafence has been used for years in places like Norway to keep streams within their banks. Here in Tampa, it's used to protect a major hospital built right on the water.
Tampa General was built in the 1920s on an island in the bay.
Oh, this is okay. This makes more sense. Built in the 1920s, they built it to avoid spreading like viral diseases or some shit.
Hey, people still wonder why they would build it there. Just a few years after the hurricane of 1921. That was the last time Tampa suffered a direct hit from a major hurricane.
Not an ideal location to build a facility like this.
But the army of installers doesn't second guess the decision of 100 years ago. They drilled wells in case city.
The problem is you had 100 years to build a separate hospital. What the fuck, man? Like, that's crazy. You built it, a massive hurricane fucked it up, and you were like, well, this is a really good plot of land. This seems like the perfect place, dude. It's fine. Let's just rebuild it. Oh my God.
Water fails with backup generators, trucking in food for 5 days and preparing for the worst.
We expect that there's going to be.
The funniest part about it is that, like, yes, lightning doesn't tend to strike twice, except areas that are impacted by flooding are way more likely to be impacted by flooding again. That's insane.
Be 12 feet of water. We will move all of the patients and staff up to the upper floors. It's actually safer to keep them here than to transport.
At this hospital on the bay, they build a fortress against the storm. Lloyd Sowers, Fox 13 News.
My dad told me the hurricane is man-made today. He's not wrong. He's just like, it's man-made in the sense that climate change is man-made. They just don't understand how it's man-made and think it's man-made in the weather machine sense. How is it different from living on the San Andreas Fault, though? I mean, not necessarily all that different. GG's. It's just that the San Andreas, well, the thing is, as time goes on, more and more places are seemingly uninhabitable. Okay, defended Haas? No, I can't. The only difference is not as, it's not like something that we are making worse, unless we're talking about Oklahoma, where fracking has directly caused earthquakes to both increase in frequency and magnitude. The difference, however, is that hurricanes are much more predictable and impact the same areas over and over again, whereas earthquakes are, I guess, unless the big one happens, not as damaging, and there's not really much you can do about it unless you harden your infrastructure. Like, there is a season for it. That's why the University of Miami is called the Hurricanes, the Canes. There isn't like a earthquake season in the same way that there is a hurricane season. Like, I don't think you're gonna experience a hurricane in I don't know, Minnesota. Do they get hurricanes? I don't think so, right? Like, there's just areas that you know hurricanes are likely to hit. But to be fair, California normally doesn't experience it, and last year there was a big panic in Los Angeles as well. So who knows? Every time I remember that a major party in this country, where is it? Chatter said, every time I remember a major party in this country still denies the existence of climate change, I just get so depressed. Dude, it's not just a major party. One major party denies it. It's all backed by massive corporations that know it's happening, but have actively spent the last multiple decades creating propaganda against it, which has caused more than 30% of this nation to also be firmly committed to not believing. The other party, on the other hand, does take some initiatives against it. I'll admit, like, the Democratic Party is definitely better than the Republican Party when it comes to climate change, recognizing its existence, trying to do their very best in terms of like at least hardening the infrastructure, things of that nature. Having said that, however, they also, on the other hand, are now completely capitulating to right-wing framing on this issue by being like, we see you, we hear you, we believe the science, but we're just not going to follow through on what the scientists are telling us. So it's really fucked up. Biggest climate bill ever passed by any country, still room for improvement. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly I think the way here's the way I see it, okay? The way I see it is an inevitability. Like, you have to do it. It's gotten to a point where you have to do it. And if you don't do it, it's just going to kill more and more people. It's already killing people, but it's going to kill even more people. That's the way I see it. In a lot of these circumstances, here, I'll give you an example from COVID, right? The American government doesn't usually give massive checks out to the working poor, but during COVID, they did. Why did they do this? Under the Trump administration, the Trump bucks, if you recall. Why did they do it? Because the economy would collapse. The global economy would collapse if the largest consumer engine on the planet shut down and they just didn't buy things. When push comes to shove, yes, even the Republican Party will find it in their hearts to do the right thing, the bare minimum, okay, and go in a direction that is normally not a direction that they would go in. And I think that the way I see the climate bill, climate bills passing under Democratic leadership, is in that same vein. It is one issue that the Democrats are objectively better than the Republicans on, and it's shocking to me that they do not swing from the rooftops about this, if that makes sense. It is frustrating to not see the Democratic Party utilize this as a way to be like, see, it's happening. Like, Republicans literally use like 26 murders caused by undocumented migrants as a successful way to propagandize about an issue that's not even a real issue. Democrats, on the other hand, have like real things that are happening to Americans on a regular basis and refuse to communicate exactly why it's happening and exactly how to solve it. It's just bad politics. It's bad politics. But y'all don't read articles about climate change policy. I do get a lot of PR about it, but usually write it up. No, come on. You yourself just said, holy shit, the news mentioned climate change. Amazing. You understand that there is a massive problem with communicating exactly what's going on and exactly who is responsible for it. That's the problem. And I do think that news media would be way more open about this kind of coverage if at least one of the two major parties was regularly harping about this shit. It is so insane to me that the Green New Deal was packaged so perfectly. It was packaged so perfectly to not only harden the American infrastructure, but also create a jobs program to transition our economy from being over-reliant on fossil fuels and instead focusing on renewable energies. And what did we do with it? The Republicans immediately went to work. They went to task and they butchered it. They destroyed it. They communicated against it non-stop. And now everybody thinks Green New Deal is a bad thing and that it actually means like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is going to come to your house and kill you if you eat a burger. They blocked it, they gutted it, and then they actively communicated against it. And look where we're at now. Most Americans literally think when you hear Green New Deal, they think it's about AOC coming in and killing you if you eat a burger. Have you seen Future of Reasoning by Vsauce? Explains why humans can't socially, cognitively solve this abstract, faraway problem of climate change. Oh, this is something I used to talk about all the time. Climate change is unimaginably devastating, but because it's like so abstract that people can't comprehend it. It's awful. They just don't understand. Like we do not have the capacity to understand it. And when there's no interest in even listening to reason or scientists, and education is getting worse and worse in a country like the United States of America, less people believe the positions of authority on this matter, and it gets even worse overall. Like the communication on this gets worse overall. And when you have a party that is actively capitulating to right-wing framing on every single fucking issue, who's supposed to defend us? Like, who's supposed to do the right things? It's not that hard to understand. You can actually look and see it. No, dude. No, that's why there is so much. It's so much simpler to believe a neatly crafted conspiracy theory that like it's actually Chinese space lasers or Jewish weather machines that are causing all this devastation. And people would much rather listen to this bullshit than actually listen to the goddamn scientists.